Hello, everyone, and welcome in. I'm Morgan Uber for GALvanize. Today, I have the opportunity to be joined by a very special guest. You may have heard him on Westwood 1 as the lead play-by-play voice for Monday Night Football. He also calls college basketball games and NFL games for CBS and NBA games for TNT. That is what he does. But today, I'm excited to talk to you about who he is. Right now, I have the pleasure to be joined by the Kevin Harlan. Kevin, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me.
Morgan, I've been looking forward to this. Thanks so much for asking me. Great to be on with you.
Kevin, for the past 5 years that I've been in this industry, I've been giving it my all, committing everything that I have. However, I've been challenged with also wanting to commit time to my personal relationships and to my family. Having been married to your wife, Ann, for 33 years, and as a father of 4, what's been your recipe to success?
Well, by always beginning every day, making sure that they're the priority. My wife in particular, and I've told the kids this, I said, just to let you all know where you fit in this picture, mom is number one, and then you are all down here tied for second. So I begin with mama because she's kind of the hub for our family. And then the girls, we have 3 girls, 3 daughters, and our son, who's our youngest, our baby, they all knew kind of where they fit. But I say that in jest because obviously my family is number one. And I don't think I've ever met anyone happy in this business, Morgan, who doesn't have some kind of attachment greater than their job. This job is a very weird, odd, strange job because it's so public, and you can get seduced by titles and games and notoriety and everything else. But at the end of the day, when you begin to measure where you are as a person, and when you look yourself in the mirror at night, I think you feel more complete and full when you know that your family has always been at the forefront of your thoughts. So that's been a pretty good compass for me. I really lucked out in who I married. That was by sheer luck. And actually, when we met, I wasn't really sure that she knew what I did because I was in my off season. And then work and the seasons began. And I think she was caught a little off guard, but it was too late. We were engaged. We met in the Big 8 tournament in Kansas City in 1987. That was March 7th. And we're engaged 3 months later and then married that Christmas. So we had a very short engagement. And we didn't tell our girls about that because we didn't want them thinking, well, that's how it happens. Dad meets mom, mom meets dad. And it's like that, because in most situations it's not. But when they found out, they had a good time with that. They enjoyed that. But they know how important they are to me. And that has been truly the best part of my life.
When you know, you know. That's a great.
And you know, you know. That's exactly
Well,
right.
Kevin, I've heard you talk about this constant theme of self-improvement, never being satisfied. Where does that come from?
Well, I guess there's a little paranoia that I have, pinching myself more times than not, feeling incredibly blessed and lucky, Morgan, that I'm in the position I'm in, and know that there's so much competition and there are people lined up to do the jobs that I have. So I never take it for granted. John Madden had a famous quote. He said, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And it's so true. If you're not staying on top of your craft and trying to improve and find nuance and different ways you approach preparation or your on-air work or your voice or whatever, I think you find yourself falling behind and you're not winning that race. And it's not necessarily that you're competing against others. I think it's better when you compete against yourself. So self-improvement and being the best that I can possibly be kind of remains my theme, I think, as I look at my professional side, at my business side. I don't want to retire someday, or finish a game or finish a season and say to myself, you could have worked harder. You could have done better. You could have embraced it more. And I just think that these jobs are too valuable and too important, mean so much. And so many people have kind of got their hand on the rope and are pulling at the same time. I don't want to be the weak link, but I certainly don't want to let myself down. So self improvement, challenging myself to be the best, listening to my tapes, making notes, listening to others I respect, and hearing how they go about it has kind of been a part of my preparation and the way I've kind of conducted my career.
I know that mindset has made you this exceptional broadcaster. How has it, though, made you a better dad?
Well, I think being a parent, that's one of the toughest things to do because there's so many more emotions involved, and I think that you've uh, handled that with if you've got a great partner, if you've got a great spouse, you can constantly talk about the way we handled a certain situation. If we grounded one of the kids, if we showed not enough praise or attention or something with an event or an accomplishment or whatever. I mean, it's always evolving. I think to be that parent, and I think your kids need to hear things at certain times, different certainly when they're going through a hardship as opposed to going through a success. We've been more of a family of positivity, I think, and whatever the accomplishment is, making sure that we recognize it and talk about it and constantly showing interest. And whenever I'd be working in the office or whatever, and the kids would come in and want to talk, I always immediately put my pen down and lean back in the chair and try to give them as much of my attention and total immersion as I could. Um, Sometimes kids want to talk at different times, and sometimes they don't. But when they do, I think one of the lessons we've learned as parents that you want to listen, and so we've tried to be very good listeners and let them fully express what's on their mind. Don't jump to a quick conclusion. I mean, these are a lot of kind of scattered thoughts, but um, you tie those kind of into how you've conducted a more professional life that you have, and discipline and structure in terms of how you prepare, how you approach a broadcast, how you treat the people that you work with. We think is very important, and I've tried to give that advice to our daughters in the business. So there's a correlation between, maybe the structure of how I work as to how I parent. But at the end of the day, you're dealing with such deep emotion with your kids that it's hard to be stuck on a patented way or a written down way or whatever that may apply to your work that doesn't apply to feelings and a broken heart or whatever it might be.
You mentioned one of your daughters in the business, Olivia. She decided to follow in your footsteps as a sports broadcaster. Kevin, when you read articles like the Washington Post story and hear accounts of women that are going through sexual assault in this industry specifically, when you read those things as a father, what's going through your mind?
Well, as a father, you would love to give that person a piece of your mind, and it happens a lot because in this business, while it's tough for men, I've always told my daughter that it's probably even tougher for women because women are graded sometimes not on their IQ and their acumen in the business and how well they've told a story or asked a question in an interview or done a broadcast. They're judged more on what kind of eye makeup she may have on or how her hair looks or a hat or a shirt or something which she's wearing, which a man is never graded on. So she and I have had long talks about this business. She's faced some things, not what the people that the story in the Washington Post spoke of with the Redskins, um, but she has had her share of handling maybe awkward or uncomfortable situations. Nothing severe, certainly, but I think I'd like to think that it's helped Morgan that I've had a chance to visit with her about this. She's talked to other women in the business, some great professionals, Michelle Tafoya, Holly Rowe, or I mean, there are countless number of mentors out there, and so I think she's got a pretty good grasp on it. But you're never prepared, even someone in my stage. I've been in the business for almost 45 years. You're never really prepared for a situation that may become awkward in whatever area it might be. Maybe a coworker says something that makes you uncomfortable, and it makes other people uncomfortable that may be in that group. So it's a constant reminder, I think, when you read stories like we saw in the Washington Post, and that seemingly emerge in this business, how you need to act, how you need to respect women. And let me say that as the father of the three daughters and a daughter in the business, and happily married for 33 plus years, that I think about that a lot when I'm away from my family and working with women in this business. I think a lot about, if that were my daughter, how would I want her to be treated? So that's constantly at the forefront of my thinking.
Kevin, I would love nothing more to continue this conversation, but I respect your time too much. I hope that we can cross our paths in person one day so that we can. But thank you so much for taking the time to open up and share about who you are more than just what you do. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Morgan. Appreciate your kind words, and I'll look forward to following your career. And you're sure nice to have me a part of this discussion.